Meren of Toth versus Heliod, God of the Sun. Yeah, even if we had a land other than Gaia's Cradle, I don't think I'd keep this. We will mulligan that. And Spawning Pit, Living Death. I mean, that's not a particularly great hand either, but Maelstrom Pulse might be able to help us out. A Tainted Wood on top. Yes, we can get a swamp to activate that with the Windswept Teeth. So we'll just have to throw out the Windswept Teeth and not crack it. We don't want to shuffle that land that we just put on top away. Meren of Toth is a 4-mana Golgari commander, 3/4. When a creature we control dies, we get an XP counter. And at the beginning of your end step, you choose a creature in your graveyard, and if its CMC is less than or equal to the number of XP counters you have, you return it to the battlefield, and otherwise you return it to your hand instead. Heliod, God of the Sun, is an indestructible 5/6 god, 4 mana. As long as your devotion to white is less than 5, it's not a creature. It gives your other creatures vigilance, and for 4 mana, you can put out a 2/1 cleric enchantment token. Okay, there's nothing... Oh, there is something to do on turn 2 actually, so let's go for a Bayou here. We want to get a swamp into play, not only to fix mana, but the Tainted Wood needs to see a swamp in play in order to be able to tap for Golgari. Let's get down the Spawning Pit. It's one of the more criminally underplayed sack outlets. Can go in any deck because it's colourless. Sacrifice it to put a charge counter on it, and then 1 and remove 2 counters gets you a 2/2 token. Okay, Suture Priest, so that makes me think this is some kind of life gain deck. Decree of Pain, we really don't want to see Decree of Pain. I'm not going to use Maelstrom Pulse on a Suture Priest, I don't think, so we will throw it back over to our opponent. Do have to keep track of this if we get down Avenger of Zendikar or something like that. Whenever a creature enters under our control, then we will lose a life. Our opponent gains a life every time they have a creature enter. Lightning Greaves coming down for our opponent. That's gone on the Suture Priest, so we can't Maelstrom Pulse it now if we wanted to. But Reflecting Pool is a good draw for us. And I'm half tempted to Maelstrom Pulse that Lightning Greaves, because I don't really want to have to deal with haste. Alright, and just like that, our opponent's gotten down a Gilded Lotus thanks to the Ancient Tomb. So they are well ahead of us on mana now. I think Maelstrom Pulse onto that Gilded Lotus is a good idea. 4 cards in our opponent's hand now. Okay, Sphere of Safety, so maybe an enchant... Well, I wouldn't have thought it'd be an Enchantress deck. Maybe a little bit of... what's it called? Maybe a little bit of prison style effects going on here. I've never seen mono white prisons, but well, that might be what it is. Now, do we want to keep the Maelstrom Pulse for the Sphere of Safety, or do we want to kill that Gilded Lotus? We've got plenty of enchantment removal in the deck, so I am going to kill the Gilded Lotus here. That's just going to give us something to do this turn. And then we can start getting damage in on our opponent. It'd be nice to get down another land, because if we can start loading up our graveyard with Underrealm Lich, then that'd set us up nicely for a good living death. See if we see the Sphere of Safety now. Yep, we certainly do. Also noteworthy that we drew into the Avenger of Zendikar, which we don't really want to play when Suture Priest is on the battlefield. Skull Clamp doesn't go well with our commander because she won't die. We could have her die if we're aiming for a living death. I think we might have to do that actually. Yeah, because we're going so slowly, I'm going to put Meren in the graveyard. We'll sacrifice her to the Phyrexian Tower. And then go for the Underrealm Lich and hope that it sticks around, because that will be a means of us loading up our graveyard. Worst case scenario, we just have to Living Death after we've gotten another creature out or another land. Yeah, we'll see what happens here. The Underrealm Lich is a newer card from the newest Ravnica set. We can pay 4 life to give it indestructible and tap it. It's kind of a weird new regenerate. And if you would draw a card, instead look at the top 3 cards of your library and put 1 into your hand and the rest into the graveyard. And we're not going to be able to get through to our opponent anytime soon, thanks to that sphere of safety. So we're just going to have to set up doing some stuff ourselves, I think. Okay, Recurring Nightmare is an excellent card, but it's not doing anything for us right now, unfortunately. We'll get down a tapped Shock with the Bloodstained Mire. Yeah, let's just get down the Skull Clamp here, and we can equip the Skull Clamp to the Underrealm Lich. Our opponent might use a board wipe. I wouldn't have thought they would, with the board state being as it is currently. We can sacrifice Underrealm Lich in response to a Swords at least. So that will draw us a couple of cards. Okay, Buried Ruin can get back the Gilded Lotus. 2 mana, tap and sack. Return an artifact from your graveyard to your hand. Okay, Ajani Steadfast. I wonder if this is maybe Mono White Super Friends and that's what the Pillow Fort is for. Yeah, I don't know. Definitely going to see a Heliod swinging in though. Yeah, and I don't mind Heliod being animated here because that means that it will die to Living Death. Now the question is, do we want to do Living Death next turn or not? We could see what we get off the Underrealm Lich first, I suppose. Heliod is getting lifelink, First Strike and Vigilance from Ajani Steadfast. Alright, let's just crack this for a tap land. How far is this off? I think the sooner we can get through to Ajani Steadfast, the better. Because it's going to take us forever and a day to beat our opponent if we can't deal damage to them. Which we effectively can't once that emblem is out. Yeah, I think I want to let the Underrealm Lich die. Because then we'll be able to Skull Clamp. So we might as well get a counter onto Spawning Pit here. And we get into Awakening Zone. That is more death triggers for us. Awakening Zone spits out Eldrazi spawns that can sacrifice themselves for mana. And Living Death does get around the indestructible because it forces people to sacrifice their creatures. So let's just go to Meren and tell her to go to the command zone and not the graveyard before I forget to change that. There we go. And let's go Living Death. This will wipe the board and it will give us back our Underrealm Lich and our Meren of Clannel Toth. 2 cards left in our opponent's hand. And then perhaps should have played the Polluted Delta before now, giving our opponent a chance to respond. But we're only going to go for Skull Clamp onto the Underrealm Lich anyway, so they could have responded to that. Doesn't really matter. Now, Sphere of Safety. We have to pay X, where X is the number of enchantments. There's only 1 so far. They might get out Heliod again to make us pay 2 per creature that wants to come in. Okay, our opponent allowing the Skull Clamp to be equipped to Underrealm Lich. They stopped for a little bit there. I don't know if they were AFK or if they were deciding to whether or not to use spot removal or not. But they're up to 3 cards now. We will definitely swing in at Ajani and get rid of that little problem before it becomes an even bigger problem. The emblem on there is, if a source would deal damage to you or a planeswalk you control, you prevent all but 1 of that damage. So imagine if we swung in for 5, 6, 7, 8 at our opponent, we'd actually only deal 2. Okay, and we'll see if they get themselves... Oh, Ghostly Prison. I don't really want to see a Ghostly Prison. So that means that Sphere of Safety makes us pay 3 per creature that wants to come in, and then Ghostly Prison makes it 5. So we have to pay 5 mana per creature swinging in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Underrealm Lich can actually kill the Ajani Steadfast. I don't know if they've ticked that up, actually. If they haven't ticked it up, hopefully they forget to. Because I will tap out next turn to get rid of that thing. Underrealm Lich will proc again, and we will... Krosan Grip is very good. We'll get back the Oracle of Muldiah. Yeah, we definitely put Krosan Grip into our hand here. So let's destroy the Sphere of Safety. That's going to be a big issue for us if we don't get rid of that. And then we only have to pay 2 to swing in through the Ghostly Prison. So let's go for just that. Oh, and I forgot, this interaction with Ghostly Prison, I always forget. This only counts if you're swinging against your opponent. It doesn't count if you're swinging against Planeswalkers. So we actually don't have to pay for that. Yeah, that's something that always catches me out. I always forget about that with Ghostly Prison. So instead, we can go for Awakening Zone. That's really good for us. Sphere of Safety. Yeah, Sphere of Safety does count towards Planeswalkers, but the Ghostly Prison doesn't. We will grab back the Oracle of Muldiah. Hopefully get some lands off the top with that, although I don't have the best of luck with Oracle, typically. See if our opponent wants to tap out for Mana Vault. Or not tap out, but tap down 4 mana to untap that. They don't, so they have a damage dealt to them. I'm surprised they haven't gone in for their Gilded Lotus yet. They might be happy with the amount of mana they have. I obviously don't know what the curve is on this deck. Sunscorch Regent is a 5 mana 4/3 flyer. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, put a plus counter on it and you gain a life. I mean, we've got Damnation and Decree of Pain, so if it becomes too much of an issue for us, we can do something about it, but yeah, that's a pretty good card for our opponent. Luckily, we got rid of the other life gain effects, so they are within reach of us getting rid of them now. Always yes and yield to the Awakening Zone. We're going to be able to start getting our death triggers going now. Now then, Eldritch Evolution is 5, 6, 7 mana. Eldritch Evolution allows us to get a 7 mana creature. Yeah, I think I'll keep the Eldritch Evolution here. Yeah, we could go for Oracle of Muldiah into something. That's an idea. Okay, let's go in at our opponent, see if they want to kill this Underrealm Lich. I'll happily trade them if they want to trade. How about Meren as well? Yeah, we can offer up Meren to them. Actually, yeah, I forgot about the... We'll just go in with the Underrealm Lich. That way we only have to pay 2. So we'll kill the Eldrazi Spawn to help pay for that. And we get an experience counter thanks to the Eldrazi Spawn dying. And our opponent's just going to take that. So let's grab ourselves an Oracle of Muldiah. And we'll see how much luck we're going to get. That will trigger the Sunscorch Regent, gain a life and put a plus counter on it. And we're getting into board wipe territory now. Okay, as to be expected, it's just a Viscera Seer on top. We've already got our sack outlet, so I'm not really too worried about that. Yeah, and I'm going to keep the clamp on the Underrealm Lich. Yeah, we'll get the Kite Sail Freebooter because it can chump block the Sunscorch Regent. At least give us another turn to think about wiping the board. I'm just happy to drag out the game for a little bit now because our opponent's pretty much in top deck mode, it seems. Just drew into a land there by the looks of it. And they can start spitting out clerics with Heliod. That might be what they're doing here. Nope, going for Angelic Skirmisher. At the beginning of each combat, choose First Strike, Vigilance or Lifelink. Creatures you control gain that ability until the end of the turn. Oh, and there's a Heliod as well. Yeah, I think we're in board wipe territory now. Can we cast Decree of Pain is the thing. That is 8 mana. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. We can get to 8 with Phyrexian Tower, so yeah, we'll just see what our opponent's doing here. I imagine they're just going to swing in with everything. Okay, giving the Sunscorch Regent and the Heliod lifelink. And the Angelic Skirmisher. Everything has vigilance thanks to Heliod. Apart from Heliod itself, it doesn't give itself vigilance. Yeah, I think I just want to chump with the Oracle. Because we're taking a big hit here. And then we might as well sack with the Spawning Pit. That way we get a counter on the Spawning Pit and Heliod doesn't deal any damage. And therefore our opponent won't gain the life from lifelink. And then with our 1 remaining mana, we might as well throw out a spawn token. Okay, we will put a land into our hand. We'll go for the forest. Now then. Yeah, our opponent's in top deck mode. I feel fairly safe with just going for Decree of Pain. Decree of Pain destroys all creatures. And then for every creature that is destroyed this way, we draw a card. So we'll draw a few cards here. We're at 4 right now. And then we shoot up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then draw another couple from the Skull Clamp that was on the Underrealm Lich. Expand our graveyard here. We do care about our graveyard in this deck. We've already made a land drop, but yeah, we've got some good stuff going there. Assassin's Trophy on the Ghostly Prison is quite good. Yeah, we'll have a think about what we want to do here. Didn't get into many lands. Yeah, I noticed that. Unless a Vastwood Seer can get us a land. Don't worry about Kitesail Freebooter. Yeah, I think the 2 elves can go as well. Okay, just starting to throw out cleric tokens now. We can't take too many hits from those. Mesmeric Orb gives us some good stuff to go for. I don't know if there's much we can get with the Reanimate, thanks to our life total being quite low. Yeah, so I should have waited to make a land drop there, actually, because we're going to go for Avenger of Zendikar here. And then we get a 0/1 plant token for each land we control. And we're going to sacrifice the Eldrazi Spawn to Phyrexian Tower for a couple of mana, so that we can do a couple of Skull Clamps. Okay, gotten into Woodfall Primus. Okay, and we're finally getting into some lands now. Dictate of Erebos, I think, will be good next turn with those plant tokens. And then if we can get Meren into play. Yeah, if we get Meren into play, that'll be 6 mana. And then we'll have 4 mana left over. Not quite enough for Dictate of Erebos, unfortunately. Yeah, we'll see what we can do there. We'll go Woodfall Primus into the bin. Not too worried about Mesmeric Orb now. And I don't know if I'm too worried about Reanimate either, although I might regret ditching that. Plaguecrafter isn't particularly good either though, so we'll get rid of that. And our opponent can't quite go wide on us yet. But they can kill one of our plant tokens if that's their aim. They just drew into a Plains. Yeah, I think the plan here is that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana for Meren. And then 4 mana left over. We can hold up Assassin's Trophy. I think that'll be okay. Okay, our opponent sacked the Buried Ruin to get the Gilded Lotus back. And they can start going crazy with these Heliod triggers. Oh no, they're not going for that. They're just making a cleric unblockable. With the Rogue's Passage, 4 and tap, make a creature unblockable. Something we have to be wary of. That might actually be something that's Assassin's Trophy worthy. Now, how many swamps do we have? 1, 2, and 3 currently. Only 3. Cabal Coffers will be 3 lands that tap down for 3 mana in that case. Yeah, we'll put down the Cabal Coffers just in case we want to play more swamps next turn. And then we tap with the Tainted Wood and a swamp. That'll get us 3 mana. We sacrifice an Eldrazi Spawn, and then we need green and green, and we'll get down Meren. And then we can surprise our opponent with a Dictate of Erebos. We can even sack a couple of plants with Spawning Pit to get them to sack their clerics. Now, what do we want to get back with Meren is the question. Really don't think we're gonna use this Reanimate. We can't swing him because of the Ghostly Prison. Now then, what do we want to get here? We'll just get the Underrealm Lich. We can get that back and start filtering through our draws. Hasn't been the best game for us. Not untapping the Mana Vault. Okay, going for Grand Abolisher. During your turn, your opponent can't cast spells or activate abilities of artifacts, creatures, or enchantments. That hurts us. So let's go for... We'll kill the Avenger of Zendikar and then we can get it back, I think. Because we're going to want more... Well, yeah, we'll decide on that later, actually. There's no rush for that. We can kill the Avenger of Zendikar whenever we want. We might want to bring that back next turn, is what I was thinking. With Meren. Yeah, so Assassin's Trophy... We might not actually need to use that on the Grand Abolisher. Probably on the Ghostly Prison. Because we can kill any of our opponent's creatures now, pretty much. Let's kill a plant. Which will trigger Dictate of Erebos. Whenever a creature we control dies, each opponent sacks a creature. So they're going to have to sack both their clerics here. And then during our turn, we can make them get rid of the Grand Abolisher. They can create more cleric tokens, but they'll obviously have Summoning Sickness. Oh, and I forgot. I thought I'd done it twice. Well, looks like we're going to take a hit for 2 here. That's a bit of life thrown away that we shouldn't have been taking. Hopefully that doesn't cost us. Yep, going for the same play. I think we've stabilised here. We don't need to target Grand Abolisher to get rid of it. We can Dictate of Erebos on our turn. And there's nothing we can do during our opponent's turn now, so we'll just yield through the rest of the turn. Okay, I think we'll take a swamp from this hand. Now, Wasteland. Do we want to Wasteland? I think it's safe to throw out Wasteland just in case Rogue's Passage is relevant. Actually, can we get our opponent this turn? If we kill an Eldrazi Spawn and a plant, that'll get the blockers out of the way. They can create another blocker, so another plant goes down. That'll be 2, 4, 9, 13, 16. So maybe Eldritch Evolution to get us into another land. To make the plants bigger. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think we can get there this turn quite. So let's go for Skull Clamp onto the Eldrazi Spawn. Our opponent's going to have to sack a creature here. Because our Eldrazi Spawn has died. Okay, and we're getting into the lands now. We'll just have to take a forest. I don't really care about the Carrion Feeder. Yeah, we'll just get rid of that. And then another card, we'll get a swamp. And then how about Skull Clamp onto a plant before we sacrifice it. Sacrifice it to the Spawning Pit. Now we have enough counters on the Spawning Pit to throw out another token, if we want one. Sidisi. Yeah, I think Sidisi is good here. Or High Market. Am I going to... Yeah, I think I will take High Market just because it's life gain. It's only 1 life, but... Yeah, we'll take a Sol Ring as well. I don't know how relevant the life gain is going to be from High Market, but you never know. We can only play it next turn anyway. And then it's Assassin's Trophy onto the Ghostly Prison. Our opponent can grab a Plains with that, but really not worried about how much mana our opponent has at this point. And then we will Sol Ring. And we'll swing in with everything, I think. Yeah, because we can throw out a chump blocker with the Spawning Pit. And I'm going to kill the Avenger of Zendikar and bring it back out anyway. Yeah, I've decided to do that, so we'll go for just that. I think we've got our opponent next turn. Okay, creating a Cleric. Don't know if they're going to block here. Nope, they decide not to, and they have decided to quit there. Oh, they took the damage because they didn't block. How much did we have there? 2, 4, 6. That was 11, 15, 16, 17. Oh, 18. We had more than I thought we had. Okay, I thought we were going to be 1 shy of getting our opponent, but apparently we were 1 over getting our opponent. Had they have blocked there, our plan was to sacrifice the Avenger of Zendikar after a Skull Clamp would have drawn into a Birds and an Urborg, which would have gone well with Cabal Coffers. And then we would have got back the Avenger of Zendikar with Meren at the end of the turn for a lot more blockers. If our opponent had kept the Cleric in play or created more Clerics, which they probably would have done, I would have used the Rogue's Passage to blow it up before they could have activated it. Yeah, maybe would have gone for High Market next turn to start sacking creatures and gaining a life, just to keep us out of range of our opponent. But yeah, managed to stabilise there. A little bit of a clunky game, but that's sometimes the way it goes with Meren. You want to drag the game out as long as you can so you can start doing stuff like this. So I hope you all enjoyed it. That was Heliod, God of the Sun, versus Meren of Clan Nel Toth. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.